Hello, everyone, and welcome into the 6th episode of Auburn Tigers Live from the Voice of College Football Network. I am Taylor Jones, joined by my good friend Sky Underwood, as we talk about the latest news going on in the world of Auburn sports and just the college football world in general, because there's going to be a brand new college football playoff format that I'm hoping the Auburn Tigers are a part of next year. That'd be a lot of fun if that were the case. Auburn baseball, they did better in the regional field than I think we were all expecting, so that's good. We'll, of course, lead off with that. And we mentioned that we were hoping that we would have Tahad Pettiford news. We don't. I mean, we do, but not the news that we wanted just yet. But we'll talk about that as well. But before we go any further, Sky, thanks again for taking time out, being a part of the show. How's your week been, man?
Had a amazing Memorial Day weekend. It stormed throughout Memorial Day weekend.
Mm-hmm.
But my partner and I, we made the most of it. We went, we did a picnic at Lake Purdy. I believe we did that on Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. Then on Memorial Day, we went canoeing at Oak Mountain State Park. So we had a lovely weekend.
Yeah, sounds good. A good weekend if you can just dodge the rain bullets and the thunderbolts. It's a great weekend to be outside, and we're thankful again for you taking time out and talking with us today. Of course, the big news that is coming up this week is that Auburn is hosting the Auburn Regional. Ended up getting the number 4 overall seed, which was much better than we thought. I mean, of course, we expect Auburn to be the number 1 seed, and we want Auburn to be the number 1 seed because, we're biased as we can be over here. But everybody from D1 baseball to Baseball America said, okay, well, they're a number 6 seed. They're kind of on the fringe. Maybe a decent showing at the SEC baseball tournament will solidify them as a top 8 seed, and that they won't have to worry about going on the road for a super regional should they make it. But things got much better as they ended up with the number 4 seed. Just very impressive into the season and a start to the postseason.
Yeah, it's one of those things where the national perception is even better than the fan base's perception of the team. It is what it spoke to me, because I think a lot of the fan base thought we would get a good seed, but they didn't think we were going to be as well positioned as we are for postseason play for a run at the program's 7th College World Series if we were to make it to Omaha.
Yeah, and Auburn, of course, in a great position this weekend, I feel, taking a look at their field. They'll, of course, start off with the number 4 seed Central Connecticut Blue Devils, who they're pretty dangerous offensively. They're not they don't have a lot of power, but they do get on base, and their pitching is pretty solid too. But they're not known for striking out a lot of people. Their defense is really what carries them. But they're going to get a shot to make some noise in the postseason. And then the number 2 team is going to be the NC State Wolfpack, which is a team that Auburn has met in the regionals before, but mostly in Raleigh when they played. I believe that was the year that they went to Florida. It was somewhere relatively not all that long ago. I think it was the year they went to Florida for the super regional. They went to Raleigh for the regional and did pretty well up there. And now the Wolfpack are going to come to Auburn. And then the Stetson Hatters, which you've got to watch out for Stetson. They come in with the most wins of anybody in the Auburn regional, over 40 wins. So you've got to look out for them. And then they're paired with the Chanticleers from Conway, South Carolina, Coastal Carolina. At number 13. Florida's the number 2 seed in that region, so that's interesting in itself. And then I believe it was ECU, which is historically a pretty good baseball school. I think it was they haven't been to the postseason in a few years, so they're on their way back.
They're due. They're due. East Carolina's due. I was watching some of their highlights. That's an exciting ball club, the way they play ball, towards the end of the year, because they won the American Athletic Conference tournament. They swept it, if I'm not mistaken. I could
They
be
did.
wrong.
Yeah, that is correct. And then the Stags from Fairfield University, a very neat mascot, the Stags from Fairfield. But looking at just how tough that regional is, and you expect with the lower the seed, the tougher the regional is, because it's basically they do 1 through 16, and then whoever the number 17 seed would be, quote unquote, would be the number 2 seed in 16, and they go all the way back up. So you automatically assume that the lower the seeding, the better the regional is going to be.
Right.
And I think they were number 238. Central Connecticut was in the RPI. But of course, they won their regional tournament or their conference tournament.
Right.
So they got to go to the big dance because of that. Not that they were bad, but I think looking at it, of course, we talk about Auburn winning 15 games against Quad 1 opponents. Central Connecticut has only played 4 games against Quad 1 and Quad 2 opponents, and they're 0-4 overall. So it's not that they're bad. They just don't have the experience. I think Northeastern was like the toughest team they played. Northeastern's pretty tough.
Yeah.
Don't get us wrong, but they're not playing, Florida. They're not playing Georgia. They're not playing Texas week in and week out like Auburn is. That's why their RPI is so low. But the lowest RPI in the Conway regional, I think, was number 84. Fairfield came in at number 84 in the RPI. So any team that comes out of that is going to be pretty dang solid.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
And you like Auburn's chances against both Coastal Carolina and possibly Florida. Florida, having a pretty good shot at coming out of that regional too.
Yeah.
But you look at the challenges that await you in the super regionals. It's going to be night and day compared to what you'll see in the Auburn regional.
Yeah, absolutely, and hopefully Auburn can continue its hitting prowess, because we kind of fell off a little bit in Birmingham at the Hoover Met and in our last series on the road at Ole Miss, which we were able to capture a win out of the series, prevent them from sweeping us.
Right.
But then I believe we lost the first game of the SEC tournament as well.
And it was a challenging a game to look at. And, I looked at the box score, and it's like, because you watch the game unfold, and then you look at the box score and you just see just how close Auburn was from really winning that thing. And it's one of those moments that as a coach, you don't know what to say to the team afterwards, because they had more hits than Texas A&M. The pitching staff struck out Texas A&M more than Texas A&M struck out Auburn's bats. I think they left fewer runners on base too. So I mean, after that, they, from that standpoint, you think, okay, Auburn has a pretty good shot to win, but they gave up that 3-run home run in the middle innings, and that's ultimately what did it. And every other hit they had went right to people, or they couldn't, they could get people on base but couldn't get them around to score. So it was just a tough loss. But again, you look at how important the offense has been this year for Auburn baseball, and it just kind of stings a little bit knowing that if you just played a normal game, then you'd be probably making it into Saturday, possibly championship Sunday. And it's just one of those things that you hope this weekend they've worked on it in practice and they can get back to it against a pretty solid pitching staff against Central Connecticut on Friday.
Yeah. I like our chances. What would you set the percentage as Auburn advancing through this regional to the super regional?
I would say, and again, this is the orange and blue coming out in me, but also try to be a little
objective.
Yeah, objective, subjective, however you want to word it. I mean, I'd say at least 97%. I mean, I'm not giving it. I'm not, going to give it 100% because we would
Yeah.
have said 100% 2 years ago, and then look what happened. But at the same
Right.
time,
That's how confident you are, though.
yeah, and it's just because
I'm a little concerned about NC State. I don't want them. We can't like. I think they're capable of beating us. Is what I'm trying to say.
right, yeah, and I think Stetson could sneak in and
Yeah.
get a game also should Auburn and them meet too, but I feel like if I'm looking at what Auburn has this week compared to what Coastal Carolina has this week, which is the region that Auburn set up with, I would my confidence would go down a little bit if we had Coastal Carolina's regional compared to what we have. But that's not to say that I don't respect Central Connecticut, Stetson, or NC State, but it's just one of those that you feel like you don't have to play your best baseball in order to get out of there, but you can't really sleep on those teams either.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
So we'll
Well,
reverse the question to you too. What are your
97% is certainly sleeping on those teams, Taylor. I feel like.
right? Yeah, that's
So,
very very good thing to say.
yeah. Well, you know what? I thought we would make a better showing at Ole Miss.
Mhm.
So but before Ole Miss, really just if you take you got to look at the entire scope of the season, and the most important detail of Auburn baseball in 2025 is they have the number one strength of schedule
That's it.
in the country. So, like from the national perspective, when earning their number 4 seed, that was probably one of the most, of course, one of the most important, characteristics. Basically that this Auburn team has pretty much over everybody else.
Yeah. So it's not just how tough your schedule is, but how well do you do against your toughest schedule? Because you can have the toughest schedule in the world, but if you're dropping everything, then that means nothing.
Right, exactly.
And we have a clip from head coach Butch Thompson that we're going to show, and he's going to talk about a handful of different things. And one of those, which is a good thing you brought up, Greg Dry, who's I don't know if he's the GM. I don't know if that's the correct term. I know GM is becoming popular in college football programs, but just like one of the main guys that oversees the program and really looks into schedule. That's something that Butch Thompson talked about. He also talked about just the field coming in, especially Central Connecticut. So we're going to turn things over to him right now and get his first thoughts after the field was revealed on Monday.
We'll just jump straight in with questions. So, reaction to being a number 4 national seed and getting to play at home?
I think back to schedule. I think about 2018, 2019 of like feeling like you're supposed to see yourself as a regional host. And I think one of the biggest things that we've done, I give Greg Dry a lot of credit on our staff, is researching and revamping our scheduling. And I think the number one strength of schedule now is held serve. Even last year we were number 3 strength of schedule. This year, of course, number 1. But even you could see it in 22, 23, 25. Hosting 3 of the last 4 years was a concerted effort to what you do with the non-conference schedule as far as being on the road, in-state, playing like an ACC champion like Georgia Tech, and then drawing really the toughest schedule in our own league propelled us. I know that 4 of the 5 teams we travel to in SEC play are regional host and national seed. So I give Greg a lot of credit in adjusting from where do we need to get to create a day like this. So a top 4 national seed is a absolutely big deal. And but as I looked at watching the TV here, not just our road, but every road's a tough road. Every team that's made this field has done something amazing. They've had a pitcher rise up, a team rise up, a big swing. So all capable teams. But at least I know standing here to you in front of you right now that 4 teams stand in our way of a return trip to Omaha. And I think it's pretty neat that we did it at the 984 Club here, because this lets us know the distance to Omaha, and this highlights our 6 teams from Auburn that have made the journey. So it's nice that it starts right here at Plainsman Park on Friday.
What are your initial thoughts on the region and the match?
Yeah, just like the whole field. I think Stetson, just what a good ball club. The last couple of years, they've been just incredible, exceptional. Anybody in college baseball, when you play a 56-game schedule, that walk into postseason with 40-plus wins have absolutely dominated what's been in front of them. Central Connecticut, our coaches will be learning more and more. Scott Foxhall on our staff was at NC State. We've been there for a regional. Elliot Avance, one of the best in the business, and just a treat, an amazing coach for a long period of time that everybody in my spot look up to, and Omaha experience and et cetera. So I think we have a very well-rounded field here, and I just think over the last few years, the teams that have been here, think of a Florida State, a UCLA that's hosting this time, and a Florida State that's hosting. We've had some good fields here, so I know our fans are going to get treated to another amazing field of good regional teams here at Plainsman Park.
And Butch Thompson is right. Going to be another great field that Auburn is going to see. The NC State team that I believe I think they were tied for fourth place maybe, but they were only a game and a half back of Georgia Tech, which is a team that Auburn took care of.
Right.
A team that felt like they probably should have been hosting, and they should have been hosting.
Right.
Honestly, did you watch any of the reveal show or any of it on social media? Georgia Tech's reaction to having to go to Oxford.
No, I've heard they were pissed about it, but I haven't seen it yet. So of course, they're they don't get picked for a host side, and so they're all sitting in their team room or whatever, watching the television. And then their name never comes up.
Yeah, their name never comes up. So not only do they not get the host, but they have to go to Oxford, which is another brutal region. We'll pull that bracket up in just a second. But it's hilarious because I can't remember who the softball team was. It was one of the smaller mid-major softball teams a couple years ago a couple weeks ago with the softball reveal, where you just see surrender cobras everywhere because they were picked to go to Oklahoma. Yeah, and I remember seeing that. But with Georgia Tech, it was more often than not they just kind of had their arms folded. But there were just a couple that were just. And then there was just one guy that was losing his mind, like, yeah, we're going to go to the postseason. We're going to do it. And one of the captions I saw in the video was someone's got to nudge him and bring him back to reality because they were not very happy about not getting to host one, two, not being able to go to Oxford.
Well, maybe if they would have beat Auburn, that they would have thought differently.
Gosh, probably so. It was. Yeah, you could just tell they were not very happy about it. I've got the regionals pulled up. Okay, so the Oxford regional hosted by Ole Miss. Number 10, Ole Miss got that regional. Georgia Tech, number 2. Western Kentucky, number 3, which they ended up winning Conference USA, having to beat Jacksonville State, which beat Dallas Baptist, which Dallas Baptist, is
like
kind of like how Boise State was in the WAC back in the day, where it's like you're playing for number 2 because you're not going to beat Boise State. But in Conference USA, it's who's going to be number 2, who's going to be we had a good year. We finished number 2 behind Dallas Baptist, but Jacksonville State beat Dallas Baptist, which is, again, a team that Auburn beat twice. And then Western Kentucky ended up beating them in a walk-off. So they, get them. And then Murray State, which, of course, is, always pretty decent in baseball. Then they're paired up with the Athens Regional, which I think there's probably some silver lining to that, them going to Oxford and not Athens, because they have done this before where they put Georgia and Georgia Tech in the same regional. So they were paired with Georgia, number 7, which has been pretty solid all year long. Duke, another pretty good team in the ACC, and then Oklahoma State, who is always up there in the Big 12, no matter who's in and who's out of that conference. And then Binghamton, which, Binghamton is seed, but Georgia Tech wasn't very happy about that. And they were one of the ones the last couple of weeks that were expected to come in and host. Mm-hmm. And so, a little disappointment there. They didn't win the ACC tournament, which I think really did hurt their chances. But NC State finished tied for 4th in that conference, but it was, I think, a game and a half back from taking the ultimate lead in the ACC. So that's how close that conference was to winning. And then Stetson was a team that, looking over at the ASUN conference, they weren't favored to win that one, but they ended up getting out of there with the win, which Stetson, of course, is always a pretty solid program. They finished, taking a look at their batting stats here, because that's always like the big things. How does their pitching stack up with our bats? How does our bats stack up with their pitching?
Right.
And like Central Connecticut, they don't, they have 46 total home runs, which isn't really a lot considering that the number one team in that category in their conference was Austin P, who had 112. They were slugging. How Austin P was up in the tournaments, just beyond me.
Right.
So I mean, they don't have that. They don't have many runs come across the score either. They're actually towards the bottom with 330 total runs batted in. But what makes them special? What makes Stetson special?
Yeah.
They have 128 stolen bases and 156 opportunities.
Small ball.
So don't get them on base.
Right.
That's the
don't
walk
them. Throw it across the plate. Like throw it down the middle. Hell,
Yeah, that's it. And for Central Connecticut, they are among the top in their conference. They know how to get on base. They just don't slug it a whole lot. They're not going to see a lot of home runs go over the fence. So yes, Stetson, that's going to be the big thing for them. And then I'm taking a look at what NC State brings to the table. Once I get this pulled up here on the old trusty second computer. So they were, it was pulled up and now it's taking a second again. Of course, the ACC way behind us in the SEC in more ways than one, especially when it comes to their websites. Taking a look at NC State, they finished number 7 in average, hitting 290 as a team, which, not really that crazy. They were a little better in home runs at 63, 362 runs batted in, not many stolen bases either. So their biggest thing is you just got to keep them off base, and then their pitching finished 5th with a 4.89 ERA, strikeouts 474 strikeouts, which was still they're number 10 in that too. So. You kind of feel confident, but you just can't be too confident, I guess is the right thing to say when you're looking at this field.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
that's why 97% surprised me.
Yeah. So, it's one of those, it's like you don't want to completely, write every team off. But at the same time, it's one of the better setups than the rest of the country has.
What's our record at home this year, Taylor? Do you know?
Let me look that up real quick. It's
do we play better on the road or do we play better at home?
I feel like the home schedule has done us a lot of favors this year, because we look at the sweeps against Georgia, the sweep against Texas, and then the series loss at Ole Miss. We're all on the road.
Yeah, the sweep was at LSU though.
No, LSU was at home.
Oh, was it at Auburn?
Yeah.
Okay, my bad.
Auburn 25-6 at home, 7-11 on the road, 6-1 on neutral sites. And of course, a lot of that came from that weekend at Arlington. I think it was Ohio State. Who all did Auburn play that weekend? It was Ohio State, Oregon State, and another team. It's slipping my mind. I can't believe I've forgotten that. But that was 3 of the games right there. And then you have the neutral site game against South Alabama in Montgomery, and then the UAB game at Regions Park, even though it's in Birmingham, was a neutral site. I think that was the only one.
That's a cool game.
That's the only one that Auburn lost to. But 25-6 in front of the home crowd at Plainsman Park, which is
fantastic.
Which is extended greatly. It used to be just over 4,000. Now I think you can get 7,000 in that place, and that's not counting the parking deck that's just beyond the wall, and all the standing room only spots as well. So it's been a pretty good year to extend Plainsman Park.
Absolutely. And it's been record attendance. The fans, build it and they will come. And the fans,
That's right.
certainly Auburn fans will always come and they'll show up and show out. And there was definitely home attendance records broken this year. So kudos to the Auburn fans. And,
I think
look,
sorry.
I believe, like, I don't think you should be closed-minded if you're Auburn administration. Like, I would have the mindset of let's never stop. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like, continue to make Plainsman Park the best baseball park in college baseball. Like,
yes,
whatever you got to do, you continue to invest in the program, whether it's adding capacity, et cetera.
Yeah, and it helps too that you have awesome alumni like Tim Hudson and Josh Donaldson and Frank Thomas that are going to back the program.
Absolutely, and
no matter what.
The most important thing, you have a first-class, top-shelf human being running the program.
Yes.
And that's why these guys like the Big Hurt and Tim Hudson and et cetera, the bringer of rain, will invest into the program because they know that they can trust the man who's leading it.
Yeah, that's right. And he's proven time and time again he's the right guy.
Oh, he has proven time and time again that he's a leader of men, of young men. He turns young men into men, and so I just think he's like what I like about Butch Thompson is what other coaches think about him, and they all like they all have mad respect for him, So that tells you what kind of coach Auburn has in Butch Thompson. And I was uber impressed when he took the guys out to Corvallis. I mean, Oregon State is considered like a powerhouse in college baseball.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And they grabbed a top 8 seed this year.
For Butch to take the boys out there that year and beat those guys, I was like, that is top level coaching, managing. That really. I mean, look, and he's done many positive things at Auburn, but I just got a lot of respect for him. I mean, and every Auburn fan should.
Yeah. And it's one of those things that and of course, Mississippi State getting into the tournament, their focus is on that right now. But I'm still
leery.
I'm still nervous. I'm like, stay away from Auburn.
Stay away.
Go wherever you have to go. There's a lovely human in Knoxville, Tennessee, that I'm sure would love Starkville.
Yeah. I don't know that I would ever use the word lovely and his name in the same sentence, though.
When it's concerning him and any other program except the Auburn Tigers, he's a fine guy. He's great. But if anything were to happen, I'm hoping that it's in 20, 25 years when Butch Thompson blows past Halbert's record and he retires from Auburn. Not that he's taking another job or that people just aren't thinking clearly.
Right.
And, think that they need to move on from Butch Thompson. I'm hoping that the man in Knoxville is not considered.
Well, traditionally, Auburn doesn't really lose coaches to other programs.
No.
I mean, let's really look back on the course. Let's look back on the course of time. And if you think about it, we don't really, to say that we've never lost a coach to another program would be a lie. I'm sure we've lost a coach to another program before, but it's rare. Is it not, Taylor?
Yeah, because I'm trying to think, because I know head coach in my lifetime, I don't think it's ever happened. Any other head coach that has left has been because, we're going in another direction, quote unquote.
Right. Right.
But of course, assistant coaches, they'll
Yeah, of
take
course.
lateral
Yeah.
jobs any other place.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very rare for a baseball coach or really any coach at Auburn to just leave for another job unless there was like a family situation. But even then,
Right.
like I'm trying to like even think back, and I know Bruce Pearl's been here for a while,
Right.
and
And I'm sure he's had thousands of jobs offered
yeah,
thrown his
yeah,
way.
yeah, and Tony Barbie, of course, was let go. Before him, was it Lebo? Before him, or do we have
And it
somebody?
was.
It
It
was
was
Jeff
Jeff
Lebo,
Lebo.
and then Cliff Ellis. I think. I
Oh
don't know.
yeah, that was that
Yeah,
was kind of a
that
mutual
was
parting of ways
yeah
because of the
that was
NCAA violations and whatnot. So
yeah. So that was a little bit before I really got into Auburn basketball. So not really sure what happened there, but I know he was he won a lot of ball games at Auburn, and
absolutely,
he's still very well respected within
he certainly
Auburn
is.
University.
Should be.
And then the last few football coaches, Brian Harson, we know what happened there. Gus Malzahn, we know what happened there. Tubbs, we know what happened. Terry Bowden, know
Gene
what happened
Chiswick.
there too. Yeah,
We
Gene Chiswick.
know what happened there.
Which how like which that was a proof
That
to
was
me right there.
lightning in a bottle.
Yeah, that's like a proof to me right there that it's like I went from Malzahn to Tuberville. Didn't mention Gene Chiswick, and he won a national championship at Auburn. I'm just like, oh, yeah, Chiswick was a head coach,
Right.
which I know is awful to say, but that's it. And then
He's a good man.
before Terry Bowden, I'm not really sure what happened because I was born in 1992, and then Bowden was hired in '93 after Pat died.
Okay. Yeah.
So
well, he won a lot of ball games. I'll tell you that.
Yes, he did. I know my grandmother loved some Terry Bowden. The day that which I didn't really understand why he left Auburn. That was what 97, 98 maybe. See, I would have been 5 or 6 at that point, and I just remember my grandmother being very upset that he was no longer at Auburn, and I didn't really understand why until much later why he wasn't at Auburn anymore. But yeah, and then you look at baseball, and Thompson's been there for the better part of 10 years, and then Sonny Galloway, which what a man he was. I know a lot of Auburn fans have a lot of words about Sonny Galloway, and then before him it was John Pulaski.
He's the Brian Harson of Auburn baseball.
Yeah, he was a character, and then was it Pulaski? Yeah, it was Pulaski before him. I believe there was somebody else before Hal Baird, but yeah, it's usually if a coach leaves Auburn, then it's
Auburn had a tough time replacing Hal.
Yeah. So it's it's just one of those that you kind of hope that trend continues this year, that Mississippi State, best of luck to them, but stay away from Auburn, Alabama.
Yeah, absolutely. When's the sectional when's it start, the Auburn sectional, Taylor?
They will start Friday at 1. It'll be NC State and Stetson, and then Auburn and Central Connecticut will play at 6 Friday.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll see if we've got the full schedule. Yeah, we got the full schedule right here. So it will start off Friday at 1. It'll be NC State versus Stetson, and then at 6 it'll be Auburn versus Central Connecticut. The losers bracket elimination game will be at 2 on Saturday. The winners get bracket.
Don't worry about that one.
Yeah, the winners bracket game will be at 8.
8, wow.
So yeah, it'll be a late night for us, but hopefully it's a fun night for us.
Right. Absolutely.
And then the first elimination game for Sunday, which will be the one that survives the 2:00 game on Saturday, and then the one that loses the 8:00 game on Friday. They'll play at 2 on Sunday. And then the 6:00 game Sunday, should Auburn win 2 games, all they will have to do is win that one. And then
so they have to win more than 2. Like if they go 2-0,
they have to win 3. Have to win 3 over the weekend.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, have to win 3 over the weekend.
So how many can you lose?
Yes, you can lose 2. You have to lose 2.
Wow.
Yeah. So
wait. So you can go 3-2. and win in advance?
Well, no, you can go. You can lose one and stay all the way up to the championship game, but when you lose that second one,
Okay, I got you. That means you lost the championship game.
yeah. So
Gotcha.
a double elimination format, but you can't have one loss all the
You
way to
can't
the
have one.
championship
Okay.
series. And so
Well,
say
hopefully we can sweep the series. I mean, that would be the hope. I mean, 3-0.
and if like using this for instance, if Auburn beats Central Connecticut on Friday and they win the 8 o'clock game on Saturday, which we'll say, the higher seeded team, NC State. So, we predict they play NC State at 8 o'clock on Saturday. If they win that game, they would have to win the 6 o'clock game on Sunday. And if they win that one, it's over. Super Regionals, here we come. But if they lose that one, they have to play an if necessary game on Monday, and they'll have to win that one in order to survive.
Gotcha.
So yeah, that's a look at the Auburn Regional starting on Friday at 1. I think tickets are hard to come by, so you may have to go to the secondary market to get some of those, or maybe some really good friends that can get you in, or have a friend that has a prime spot on the parking deck that can get you in if you want to watch. But if you can't do that, or if you're out of reach, it'll be on ESPN Plus. The entire series will be, which let's give a round of applause for ESPN for doing what they're doing. I can remember 10 years ago where even, having 1 or 2 games on a streaming platform was a big deal. But now it's pretty much every single game that Auburn plays home and away thanks to ESPN.
Absolutely. It's a luxury that we tend to take for granted. So I'm glad you gave them a little
yeah, exactly.
applause.
Big shout out to them. We'll take a look at the rest of the regionals too, kind of see what your thoughts are. Vanderbilt gets a hosting seed. They'll play Louisville, East Tennessee State, and Wright State. You see the Commodores getting out and surviving as the number 1 seed.
Yeah, I love their head coach. I love is it Tim Corbin?
Tim Corbin. Mm-hmm.
Man, you talk about a class act. I was talking about Butch Thompson. There's another guy that's just a top shelf human being. Is Tim Corbin, and he's a winner.
Yeah, can't forget that.
And he attracts good players to his program and recruits really good guys to his program, like top shelf talent.
Yeah, you think of all the great players that have played at Vanderbilt, but you also think of the players that didn't play at Vanderbilt because they were drafted high in the MLB draft.
Right.
I remember I was out at the pool on Sunday, I believe, and I had the Atlanta Braves game on. They were playing, who were they playing? The Padres, and they were talking about Braves first baseman Matt Olson, who's from the Atlanta area originally, and then the Padres pitcher that day, Dylan Cease, who was from Alpharetta, I believe, and they were both committed to go to Vanderbilt at the same time, but they both got drafted high. So, you look at Tim Corbin and the guys that he did bring in, the Dansby Swansons, the David Prices, the Filthy Falmers, the Kumar Rockers, what kind of wish, he had followed his dad's legacy and came to Auburn, but he did good things up at Vanderbilt too. But the players that he didn't get are also pretty impressive.
Yeah, he would definitely can add a couple more national championships to his trophy case if those guys would have went to Vanderbilt.
Right. So they are paired with the Hattiesburg Regional, hosted by Southern Mississippi. That was a team that eliminated Auburn 2 years ago, and they've usually been in the host talk for the last several years. A really good team out of the Sun Belt Conference. They get Alabama, they get Miami, and they get Columbia.
Wow.
So that's a brutal regional too. Do you see Southern Miss coming out of that one, or do you see Alabama or Miami, quote unquote, upsetting the Golden Eagles in their home field?
Yeah. I mean, I've always thought of Miami as being a school that that baseball is very important to them.
Yes.
And they have a deep history of success on the diamond. But to be honest with you. I don't know what their record is this year, so I don't know what kind of ball club they have, and where they finish in the ACC, etc. But their name alone and the history I know of their baseball program, their name jumps out at me in this regional. As far as I'm sure they're going to have really good talent, depending on what I don't know about injuries and that, this and that. So, but yeah, that sounds like a very difficult regional for Southern Miss, and I'm not so sure they're going to make it out alive. But playing at home, some teams can play on another level, and the fans, the energy of the fans, bring out the very best in the players. So it wouldn't surprise me if if Southern Miss won their regional, but it also wouldn't surprise me if they were upset, quote unquote. And I would say 50-50, 50% chance they survive and 50% chance they're knocked out.
That's kind of how I feel about that regional too, is because they are the 16 seeds. So you kind of feel like they're on upset alert no matter what. But
yeah,
I saw that regional. I was like, you got Alabama. So looking at the RPI, Southern Miss is number 19 in the RPI. Alabama number 13, Miami number 40. So the three toughest teams in your regional don't rank below 40 in the RPI, which is pretty dang solid. And to answer your question, for Miami, they were 31-24 this year.
Okay,
And
so they kind of had a down year by their standards. I would present, like, because and so Alabama might be the team that makes it out of this regional based upon those RPI numbers. Alabama's battle tested, so to speak. If you're telling me they're at 13 strength of schedule, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
and then you look at the Corvallis Super Regional. So the winner of these two regionals would go to Oregon State. That's what we talked about. The Tallahassee Regional, hosted by Florida, which won. Very thankful that no matter what, Auburn doesn't have to go to Tallahassee. There's no scenario where they will have to go to Tallahassee this year. Number 1, Florida State coming in as the number 9 seed. Northeastern, as we mentioned, a team that not a lot of people know all that well, but they are.
Oh, I know about them.
Yeah, quote unquote, the most dangerous team in college baseball. And you may know this too, knowing about Northeastern. Do you know who their head coach is?
No, I don't.
A man by the name of Mike Glavine. And yes, he is the brother of that Glavine, Tom Glavine.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so they're pretty good pitching team. Pretty good pitching team.
Okay.
So you got to watch out for the Northeastern Huskies as the number 2 seed in that regional. Mississippi State, as we mentioned, not a bad year record-wise, but when you look at them winning the national championship, was it 2 years ago? No, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
No, it was Mississippi State won it, then Ole Miss won it right after that for the first national championships. Not up to their standards, but they come in as the number 3 seed, and then Bethune-Cookman, which again, another local team they kind of threw in there. Do you see Northeastern pulling off the upset, or do you think the Natties from Tallahassee will prevail here?
You said Ole Miss was in that regional as well?
Mississippi State.
Oh.
Yeah, Mississippi State.
I'm surprised. I didn't think they were having a good season.
I think they won. I think they won like 32 games, but I think the SEC record. Yeah, they were like really good in non-conference play, but the SEC play didn't do them any favors, so that's why they ended up letting go of Lamonas. But they sneak in as a 3 seed in the Tallahassee regional.
Okay. What was FSU's record this year?
FSU, they were number.
I need to hear about strength of schedules, because if I'm going to give Northeastern love, they can't have like 152nd strength of schedule while FSU has like the 35th.
So Florida State in the RPI, number 14 in the RPI.
Oh, wow. They got a really good RPI.
The 25th hardest schedule.
Okay. So they're top 25 in hardest schedule. So number 25.
And then Northeastern
Okay.
number 22 in the RPI, but
Interesting.
they're 48-9, number 189 strength of schedule.
Oh.
They
Oh.
are
Oh.
they are 2-3 against
Oh.
quad 1 teams, 6-2 against quad 2 teams. That may help them against everybody but Florida State.
Okay.
21-2 against quad 3, 19-2 against quad 4.
Man, they're a really good ball club, but they've got a lot of wins against shitty opponents.
Yes.
So, and what's FSU's record this year, man?
Florida
I know.
State, they were 38-14.
Oh yeah, they're a really good ball club, and they've been playing against good teams.
Yeah,
I'm
13-10 against quad 1.
I'm
4-3.
gonna take the power conference team over Northeastern, Taylor. Although what Northeastern did this year was impressive as hell.
Yeah.
Like, but let's also take into consideration what the stat you just shared, the number you just shared, 189 strength of schedule, 189. So,
And then here's another one I think is going to be pretty tough. It's the Corvallis Regional, number 8 Oregon State. So you have them. You have TCU, which is, known to go to Omaha.
right.
USC, who hasn't been to Omaha in a while, but they do produce a lot of really good baseball players. And then St. Mary's, which I believe is the St. Mary's in California. TCU, number 17. Oregon State, number 7 in the RPI. USC, trying to find them. Number 44 with the number 61 strength of schedule. And I believe it was St. Mary's, which I believe they're going to be way down there in the pack. But again, the Corvallis Regional, you have Oregon State, TCU, USC, St. Mary's.
Yeah, I like the Beavers.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
So that would put Oregon State hosting Florida State in that super regional.
Oh, fun.
And then we'll move on to the 5 and 12 matchup, which in NCAA tournament terms, you always pick at least 112 over a 5 because that's normally where the big upsets happen.
Gotcha.
Won't have to worry about that until the super regionals, however. But you have the Chapel Hill Regional, North Carolina, who got the number 1 overall ranking heading into the tournament. They'll take on Oklahoma, which they were kind of middle of the road in the SEC this year. Nebraska really didn't do a whole lot, but they had a really good Big Ten tournament, so they may be the hot team that you got to watch out for. And then Holy Cross, which is a team that Auburn played first series of the year, did pretty well against the Crusaders, and the Holy Cross won their conference.
Okay.
So, I feel like this is probably this one in the Hattiesburg regional where I feel like you like the number 1 seed, but the number 3 seed is probably going to give you more trouble than the number 2 seed in Nebraska.
Right. Yeah. Your expertise is in baseball, mine's in football. So sometimes when I don't know about certain aspects of it, I'll lean on you, and that's what I'm going to do in this one right here.
So we'll agree. Nebraska pulls off the upset in that region.
There you go, because that's. I know we were going to go with the 12 over the 3.
12 over the 5, yeah.
Over the 5, rather. So Nebraska happens to be the 12 in this instance.
And then the Eugene Regional, which will be Oregon, Arizona, Cal Poly, Utah Valley, which is very weird because I still feel like Oregon and Arizona should be in the same conference. But, it's again one of those that I feel like 1 or 2 could really go either way. Oregon, they finished lower in the RPI than I thought they did. Okay, so they finished number 16 in the RPI with the number 23 strength of schedule, 9-1 against quad 1 teams, so a pretty good record against them. And then the other team, which was Arizona, 38-18, 55 strength of schedule. They have 12 wins against quad 1 teams, so it could be a slugfest between the Ducks and the Wildcats.
Yeah, absolutely, and those are 2 programs that have a history with one another. Even though I think they've basically broken up because of conference expansion via the Big Ten. Oregon now being in the Big Ten. I don't even know where Arizona
They're Big
is.
12, right?
I
Yeah,
believe
they're Big
so.
12. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's cool that if I'm not mistaken, they both used to be in the Pac 12, 10, whatever.
Right.
And so they were traditional foes, so to speak. So it's going to be cool to see them face off against one another. But yeah, I do. Who are the other two teams other than Oregon and Arizona?
Cal Poly and Utah Valley.
Okay. Cal Poly or Utah Valley. What seeds are those teams?
They're 3 and 4 in this regional.
Gotcha.
Look and see in the RPI where either of those teams are. They're way down there.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I like Oregon. I like the number 1 seed in this, especially that it's in Eugene. And it looks like they're playing really good baseball this season. So
yeah, Oregon and Arizona and a slugfest for Utah Valley and Cal Poly. Enjoy the trip to Eugene. It's nicest time of year, I hear.
Right.
And then the Auburn regional or the Auburn super regional. So we'll start first with the Conway regional, the one that we've talked about before. Coastal Carolina, Florida, ECU, and Fairfield. Who do you see getting out of that one? Who will Auburn play in the super regional should they win?
Yeah, either ECU or Florida.
You like that one? Yeah.
Flip a coin between those two teams. Yeah, I'll let you decide. But what do you think? What are you looking towards?
My gut's telling me that Auburn's going to be playing Florida at Plainsman Park next weekend. I don't.
Quite frankly, I don't like playing Florida.
Yeah.
In basketball or baseball, for that matter. I don't mind playing them in football.
Wish we played them more in football.
Yeah, absolutely. Instead of baseball and basketball.
And then the Auburn regional will save everybody's time. Auburn.
Auburn.
But I guess the biggest question too is I've said my percentage. What's your percentage?
Yeah, I'm gonna go 65-35.
Okay.
I'm gonna go 65-35. Because you never know.
The Austin regional, which is Texas as the number 2 overall seed, UTSA, Kansas State, Houston Christian. Longhorns, number 1 team pretty much all year.
Yeah, they kicked Auburn's butt.
Yes, they did.
So I'm not going to bet against them.
And they are paired against the number 15 overall seed, UCLA, UC Irvine, Arizona State, Fresno State.
UCLA. Who else?
UC Irvine, the Anteaters, Arizona State,
but
Fresno State.
The Anteaters usually have a good ball club.
See if we can compare them real quick. UCLA, number 15 with the number 18 strength of schedule. The Anteaters at number 23. They won 41 games this year.
Wow.
65 in the strength of schedule, but they've won 7 games in quad 1.
Oh.
Yeah. So
7 and 2, 7 and 1,
7 and 5.
Oh, okay.
So they've played pretty good teams.
Right.
Won for the most part.
Okay. Yeah, the Anteaters have a historically good baseball club. Who is the 4th team?
The 4th team is the Fresno State Bulldogs, home of Aaron Judge.
Yeah, and Aaron's Arizona State too.
Yes.
What kind of ball club do they have this year?
Arizona State, they are – should pull up what the Sun Devils are like this year. They are number 49 in the RPI, number 50 strength of schedule, 6-9 against quad 1 teams, 3-6 against quad 2.
Okay.
So a lot of their
what are they doing in postseason?
Yes. The 135 games though, so I think looking at what the Big 12 did, that's probably a lot of it right there. But yeah, it's basically UCLA, UC Irvine. Who do you think
Yeah.
gets that one?
Yeah. I like the Anteaters. Give me the
Give me the Anteaters
upset.
too.
Yeah. Sweet.
Love it. And then we'll go to an all SEC super regional pairing. We talked about this one a little bit before. Ole Miss, Georgia Tech, Western Kentucky, and Murray State in the Oxford regional. Do you think Ole Miss comes out of that one, or do you think Georgia Tech's going to be a little angry and they come in and have a lot on their shoulder, considering that, one, they got skipped for a regional host.
Yeah.
Two, there's a shot they get to play their arch rival Georgia for a shot to go to Omaha.
Yeah, it might, if Georgia Tech can channel that anger and that feeling of being disrespected and play within themselves, and use that energy in the game. After Ole Miss thumped Auburn in the series to end the season, I'm not I don't know. I think it might be a difficult series, but if I had to pick Ole Miss or Georgia Tech at Ole Miss, I'm going to pick Ole Miss.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I'll get Ole Miss in that one, and then the Athens regional, which has Georgia, Duke, Oklahoma State, and Binghamton. Which you got three pretty good baseball powers in Georgia, Duke, and Oklahoma State.
Georgia's
out in Athens.
Yeah, Georgia's a heck of a ball club. What's Duke like?
Duke, they finished. Let's see, Georgia finished number 2 in the RPI, number 7 in the strength of schedule. Duke, number 31 in the RPI, number 40 in the strength of schedule. And then here's the kicker here: 5-11 against Quad 1.
Oh.
And then the Cowboys, Oklahoma State. They didn't do much better against Quad 1. They're 28-23, so they snuck in. Number 10 strength of schedule, so they did play a pretty tough crowd.
Okay. Yeah,
5-12 against Quad 1 teams, 10-3 against Quad 2. So it's a situation that I feel like they'll do well against everyone in the field but Georgia.
Right. Yeah, Georgia will advance in their regional for sure.
And then the last one we'll take a look at. No, we got two more super regionals.
Georgia seems to have an easy road to hoe.
Yeah, I believe they do too. LSU, Dallas Baptist, a team that we talked about.
Right.
Rhode Island and Little Rock. LSU and Dallas Baptist duking it out. I feel like LSU should handle business, but if Dallas Baptist sneaks in there, it won't surprise me either.
What's Dallas Baptist's RPI and strength of schedule, Taylor?
DBU, where are we at? Number 21 in the RPI. Okay. 40-16 overall. Number 44 strength of schedule. 7-4 against Quad 1. 10-7 against Quad 2 for LSU.
What was Dallas Baptist? Q1 record?
7-4. 10-7 against Quad 2.
Okay.
For LSU, they were 43-14 overall.
All right.
Which was number 11 in the RPI, number 46 strength of schedule. So that is just two spots below Dallas Baptist. 13-11 against Quad 1, 8-1 against Quad 2.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, I think Dallas Baptist might beat LSU once in a head-to-head, but I think LSU would can beat them 2 or 3 times. You know what I'm saying? And it's set in Baton Rouge too.
It is. Mm-hmm.
So I think Dallas Baptist isn't going to roll over and play dead by any stretch of the imagination. So I think they'll make it. It'll be close, but LSU will prevail.
And then they're matched up with Clemson. That'll be Clemson, West Virginia, Kentucky, and USC Upstate. I believe West Virginia was on the
they're playing good baseball.
Yeah, 41-14 are the Mountaineers.
Yeah.
Number 125 in the strength of schedule category. Though, 5-8 against quad 1, 11-3 against quad 2.
Okay.
Kentucky, where are you at? Kentucky, you are number 38, number 9 strength of schedule.
Wow.
8-19 against quad 1, 4-1 against quad 2. And then you got Clemson that's number 9 overall, 44-16, number 17 strength of schedule, and they were 10-10 against quad 1 teams.
Okay. What was their quad 2 record?
Quad 2 for Clemson, 14-5.
Okay. Oh, this is an evenly matched regional right here.
It is. This is going to be a lot of fun because you have LSU Dallas Baptist, and then Clemson, West Virginia, Kentucky going at it, and then the winner of those two regionals will meet in the supers.
Yeah. I actually, man, West Virginia is a fun team. I have watched them this year, and they do a hilarious celebration that was posted on social media, and it was probably not for children's eyes. But
I was like, I gotta go look this one up.
But yeah, it was the Fielders, 3 of them that got together and did a little hand gesture and mouth gesture celebration.
Fun.
And yeah, it was quite funny. So I'm going to go with West Virginia, the Mountaineers, to pull through in this one.
Okay. And then the last two, which will be a fun super regional should the 2 hosts win. The Knoxville regional, which will be Tennessee, Wake Forest, Cincinnati, and Miami, Ohio. I think probably the biggest draw here is that, of course, Wake Forest has, put together pretty good teams the last few years. Then you have Cincinnati and Miami, Ohio that just love each other.
Right.
Two big rivals in southwestern Ohio. So you have, again, Tennessee, Wake Forest, Cincinnati, and Miami, Ohio. Who gets out of that one?
What's Wake Forest record this year? What's their RPI?
Oh, the Deacons. They are where are we at? Number 30 at 36-20. Number 32 in the strength of schedule. 9-8 against quad 1, 6-1 against quad 2.
Okay.
One better than rival Duke.
What's Tennessee?
The Vols are Tennessee is number 10 in the RPI with the 14th toughest strength of schedule, 43-16, 14-11 against quad 1, 6-3 against quad 2.
I had a better record than I thought. They just seemed like they were losing series after series after series after series.
Yeah, they went through a rough patch there in the middle of the year.
Yeah, have they bounced back from that?
I think they made it to the semis of the SEC tournament, so they may be getting back up there.
I gotcha. And they're hosting this tournament?
They are, yes.
Gotcha. Really, Wake Forest is their only competition, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with. I'm reluctant to go with Tennessee because I remember that rough patch, but Taylor's the baseball expert, so I'm gonna let you pick this one, Taylor.
Yeah, I felt like I kind of like where your head's at too. Tennessee, maybe they're on their way back up, but we'll see. And then the final one is Arkansas, the number 3 team overall seed. They've got Arkansas, Kansas, Creighton, and North Dakota State. I feel like that one maybe self-explanatory. Creighton, the Blue Jays, kind of a fun team because if they win this regional, go to the supers, they could be playing the College World Series in their home ballpark. That'll be fun. Creighton, they are 41-14 overall, number 15 in the RPI, number 181 strength of schedule.
They're going to have a rude awakening.
They've played 3 quad 1 teams, and I'm not sure who those 3 quad 1 teams are, but they're 3-0.
Oh.
They don't have many experience against the quad.
Right.
They've done pretty well against them.
Yeah.
10-5 in
quad 2 teams. And who was the first team besides Creighton that you mentioned?
It is Arkansas, Kansas, Creighton, North Dakota State.
What's Kansas RPI?
Kansas, number 24, not bad. Better than I thought. 24 in the RPI, 43-15 overall, number 87 strength of schedule, 5-7 against quad 1 teams, 11-5 against quad 2.
All right. What's Arkansas?
And the Hogs are near the top. They're at number 5, 43-15, or 43-13 rather. Number 15 strength of schedule, 14-10 against quad 1, only 1-0 against quad 2. So they either played really good teams or on the bottom end.
Yeah. Kansas is pretty good, it sounds like. But the Razorbacks, who is it? Van Horn? Is that who? Yeah. They're a good baseball program, aren't they?
They are. Mm-hmm.
That's who I'm going to go with.
Yeah, the Hogs and the Vols playing each other for the Super Regionals. That'll be fun. So, if that's the case, then woo pig the whole way. Got to keep the lovely gentleman from Knoxville from getting back to the law.
We don't like him. Tony.
Yeah,
Tony D.
Yeah, keeping them from winning their second straight title.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a look at the Division I baseball NCAA tournament field. Of course, Auburn will play on Friday night at 6 p.m. against Central Connecticut. They'll also see NC State and Stetson in their regionals. But we are running low on time, Sky. We thank you again for taking time out and chatting with us. And I can't believe it, but we got the whole show about Auburn baseball. That's exciting.
Yep.
That's always really good. We can, use the full hour plus to talk about the boys, and maybe next week we can talk a little bit more about Auburn baseball. Not that we're in complete shambles.
All right. Hopefully, we're talking about Auburn Dubs, baseball Dubs.
That'd be fun, and we both predict that the Gators will be coming to the Plains for the Super Regional, which is exciting but scary at the same time.
Yeah. To our listeners, you can follow me on X at Sky. SKYE Underwood, spelled just how it sounds, and also at PWROF Dixieland, Power of Dixieland. Power is abbreviated. So
a lot of great content over at Power of Dixieland. I saw that Deuce Knight getting some love.
Looking like he was working out with Quarterback Country. Getting some, he's got some nice zing on his throws. That's an uber talented human being. Is Deuce Knight? You're talking about a 6'5", 215-pound kid that's got like a 42-inch vertical. And the thing about it is, he was the state championship holder, I believe, for the long jump and like several different track meet events. He was the state championship. But yeah, he's just, to have him in the quarterback room, I think it speaks volumes about the talent acquisition under Hugh Freeze. While the records may not have been the best in his couple 2-3 seasons, he has completely flipped the roster upside down and brought in immense number of talented players. I'm really excited about 2025.
And we're about 3 months away from seeing that roster unfold, and we're definitely looking forward to watching that. And we're, of course, going to be talking about Auburn football as the summer goes on as well. But while you're waiting, be sure to check us out on the VOCFB at Twitter. That's the handle at the VOCFB. If you want to check us out on any other social medias, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. You can also listen to the archive of this show on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And as Sky mentioned, check him out on Power of Dixieland at social media to get your football fix during the week. And you can follow me on Twitter at Taylor Jones with 2 underscores. Apparently my name is so popular that any combination that I can find to be as basic as possible is just non-existent. So I had to throw in two underscores there, but at Taylor Jones __. And you can also check out our Auburn content at the Auburn Wire from USA Today, at auburnwire.usatoday.com. Sky, great chatting with you again this week, and we hope you have a wonderful week, and we'll talk to you down the road.
Likewise, man. Enjoyed it. Always enjoyed talking Auburn athletics, man. War Eagle.
Hey, War Eagle, and we will see you guys back next week at Monday, 7 p.m. Be sure to come on back and send us your comments and concerns, and hopefully we got a lot of good Auburn baseball content to talk about. But until then, we'll see you next Monday at 7 p.m. right here at the Voice of College Football Network.